I normally wake up at about 6:10, and my husband wakes up a little bit earlier and he goes downstairs and he makes coffee and breakfast for everybody. And by breakfast for me, that's a cup of coffee. And so at some stage he calls my son, usually about 6:15. And so I listen for that sound. Eli, that means the coffee's ready for mother, and he will then bring me the coffee in bed. So that's my morning start. By far the best was my honeymoon. It was on an island. We went to Mauritius and we had the typical beach holiday where we just lay under the palm trees, read our books, talked about our wedding and all the fun parts, and we were absolutely relaxed. The best part, on the last day we were busy packing and I looked at the itinerary and realized I had another day, and so we got an extra sort of bonus day. I read a lot. I read probably about 6 or 8 books a month, so it's very hard to choose one particular author or book. Probably it's the most recent wonderful book I was immersed in. I love everything by Friedrich Bach, especially the book A Man Called Uwe. I've just read Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens, which was wonderful, and a book called The Friend by Cedric Nunes, which was a book about a Great Dane. It was also very special. But Jodi Picoult, all her books, I just love books actually. I wish I could tell you I run marathons and cycle and do triathlons, but that would be a lie. So essentially I walk my dog, and I have a Great Dane, so I do need to walk him quite a bit. But what we do like to do on weekends is try and escape from the city and find somewhere quiet to visit, usually a little town or a little hut in the mountains, and then I would like to walk. So I do sort of 5 or 10K walks, preferably on the flat, but preferably outside in nature, walk on the beach. So I'm not a big exercise friendly, but I do like to keep active. I drink a lot of coffee, so it starts in the morning with a cup of coffee and maybe even ends in the evening with a cup, and then probably another between 6 and 8 cups during the day. It's the first thing I bought for my office, was an espresso machine, so coffee is a big thing for me. Cortado or a short black. I actually really like sleeping. I think it's very important. I enjoy my bed and my pillow. And I actually looked this up. I have a Fitbit, and so it can sort of measure your sleep. And so I probably sleep on average about 6.5 hours on most weeks. But I do notice that when I'm on conference or during other times, it can drop quite dramatically. And hopefully I can catch up again on the weekends or on holidays. Easy ones that if you look at somebody who's working in my field, I'm a cardiologist in a male-dominated field. I've managed to achieve some leadership positions within my field. But actually the accomplishment we're most proud of are our 2 children. We have 2 boys, 14 and 18. And as a woman raising boys that are strong and independent and caring, and probably are the 2 strongest feminists that I know. They are the champions of every kind of underdog, and they've had to cope with a mum that works quite a lot and has worked away from home. So the fact that they are that way, that they see the value of service and of working for other people, really means a great deal to me. This year my son started at medical school. And in a way that was really a major event that he would choose that, even despite having parents that have worked so hard. So for me, those are really our major accomplishments. So it's very interesting growing up and being at medical school. There were not a lot of people at my medical school that looked like me. And when I think of my 3 role models over the years, they all in the end looked a little bit like me, so short and dark. But it was very important to look at people like that and realize that you could do what they did. And so when I was at medical school, it was an obstetrician who really was a dynamic and wonderful woman, but very caring, spoke beautifully to her patients, really authentic, and really showed us what we could do as young women of color, especially growing up in the apartheid years in South Africa. As a pediatrician, I was exposed to my then head of department, Marion Jacobs, also A wonderful woman, also very authentic, interacted with people at a very human level, would hand out cookies and chocolate on Easter as the Dean of Medical School, relatively unheard of, and always asked about your family and your children before anything else, and she really meant a great deal to me. And then my PhD supervisor was Professor Bongani Mayosi, who was an adult cardiologist who took a real chance on me when I was applying for a research position, having had no research experience whatsoever, and really guided and directed my career over the last 10 years. And so those three people have really been very formative in my life. So I think that moment where they put that little baby on your chest is something that you will never forget, and you don't in a way want to freeze it in time, because you do love what happens as they grow older. But there's something very special about that sort of smell and the feel. Both of my children were just delightful when they were little, but those times went so quickly. Both of those I would love to freeze a little bit and take back. I really didn't have anything else I ever wanted to do. So I said from very early on that I wanted to do medicine. From slightly later on that I wanted to do pediatrics. And then the first time I worked in cardiology, I knew that's what I had to do. So I never really genuinely wanted to do anything else. But I did think about it when it came to the final years of school, what happens if I don't even get into medicine. So I looked at everything sort of around allied to medicine, physiotherapy, occupational therapy, lab work. I even did some stints on the ambulance to see if I could be a paramedic. And every single one of those was just so falling short of wanting to do medicine. So I looked at all of them, and then I just hoped against hope that I would get in, because I really wouldn't have been a very good physiotherapist.